So clients often ask me, what is the number one thing they could be doing differently to have a positive impact on their fertility, their health, the regularity of their cycle, the restoration of ovulation. So today I've brought you into my outdoor office, into my garden, and it's to illustrate a point that I want to make to you, that we may not be living in a way that suits our genes. We may not be eating in a way that is natural for us, the way that our ancestors ate, the way that we all got here, the way that their fertility permitted us to be here over the past millennia of human life. And so today we have one challenge, and this challenge is a sad state of affairs. It's the SAD diet, or the standard American diet. Now, you could substitute in here Canadian, British, Australian, almost any westernized diet, including the ones that are promoted by government authorities, are heavy in one particular food component, which is driving our health in the opposite direction to where we want it to go. And that is you're probably not surprised to know sugar. In nature, we don't find concentrated doses of carbohydrates like we do in refined sugar, or even in white bread and white pasta and cakes and pastries. They just don't exist. In fact, they didn't exist until about 100 or 200 years ago in the westernized world, or the modernized world, and post-industrial revolution, and definitely post-industrialized or modern agriculture. Before those services, I guess, were available, we had to climb a tree. We had to hunt and gather and you know, use our physical energy to prepare and even to acquire food. And if you look around, you won't see concentrated doses of carbohydrates in nature. You'll see maybe fruit, which is also packed with water, vitamins, and minerals, and which we kind of had to climb a tree to get to. Or you might see fermented grain. So that's grasses and grains that come to seed, and the grain falls on the ground naturally and sprouts and releases a lot of vital nutrients for humans to potentially eat. But again, this was all very seasonal. And aside from that, we had to survive on a high vegetable, high root-based diet, and a meat-based diet, and a lot of fats. And that's a lot of where our genes are oriented to even today, particularly the genes that correspond with the condition polycystic ovary syndrome, which is the most common female hormone disorder in the world. And 10 to 20% possibly of women actually have this disorder, and it's highly undiagnosed. And it results in problems with ovulation, and problems with fertility, with maintaining pregnancies, and of course with losing weight. And so what I want to show you is why this happens. So when we eat carbohydrates, so if we were to eat sugar, kind of here, here, and here, and as again the Canada's Food Guide recommends, that we should be having carbohydrates for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and probably snacks in between. So every time that happens, we get a spike in blood sugar, and then another spike, and another spike. And what's working against us from a hormonal perspective and a fertility perspective is the insulin that follows the carbohydrate or the sugar intake. Insulin follows sugar. So now we have a spike in insulin every time you have sugar. Insulin, especially if we're eating carbohydrates a lot of the time and frequently, often overshoots the mark, because insulin is there to protect us from famine. It's a building hormone. It drives this carbohydrate into our cells to be used for energy, for our survival, for our functions, for doing things that the cells need to do and the tissues need to do. but it also promotes the building of fat tissue and muscle. So it drives these nutrients into our cells, and if it's not used for energy, the sugar will be converted into fat tissue, which is not something that you want, especially when you are trying to conceive. And so when the insulin stays high, there's another effect that happens to hormonal balance. It increases the release of testosterone from a hormone carrier called sex hormone binding globulin, raises the testosterone, which blocks ovulation, and it also increases the symptoms that are very troubling for women with PCOS, such as facial hair growth and acne. So you see the impact of excess carbohydrate intake and high insulin levels and insulin resistance, because now there's so much insulin that the cells start to resist the effects of insulin, and so it perpetuates this hormonal imbalance, and it keeps you from having this, the freedom from the symptoms that you want, and of course from having the fertility that you deserve. So the simplest way to interrupt this cycle is, of course, to reduce sugar. And what do you replace it with? Quality protein and lots of vegetables and quality fats, because fats don't impact insulin, and fats help to make sure that you stay full. They promote a good hormone balance, which you need for your fertility, and everything from good skin to ovulation depends on high quality fats in your diet. So those include nuts and seeds, fish and fish oils. Fish oils are particularly recommended with fertility because they will eliminate the toxins like PCBs and dioxins that are found in fish, unfortunately. So I hope this helps to clarify a really simple way to relieve your body of so much hormonal disruption through the food choices that you're making every day. And I hope it illustrates to you why this choice is so important for you and empowers you, because you're the only one who can choose to make this particular lifestyle intervention happen. If you have questions, post them below. I would love to hear your experience with eliminating sugar, or if you have a challenge around that, or any questions about why this is so important. I'm happy to address those with you. And next time, when I invite you to my outdoor office, I'll go into more detail about other things that you can be doing to boost your fertility and achieve hormonal balance naturally. Whether you are aiming for natural conception or assisted reproduction, these techniques are going to help you achieve the goals that you desire. Okay, talk to you soon.